Your future isn't shaped by luck, chance, or the opinions of others. It's shaped by what you choose to focus on every single day. Focus is the steering wheel of your life. If you turn it toward your goals, your energy follows. If you turn it toward distractions, your time and potential drain away without you even realizing it. Most people underestimate the power of attention. They think success is about talent, opportunity, or timing. But the truth is, even the greatest opportunities are useless if your mind is scattered. Focus is what turns ideas into action and action into results. When you direct your attention with intention, you begin to take control of your life instead of letting life control you. The challenge today is that distraction is everywhere. Your phone, your environment, notifications, entertainment, everything is designed to pull your mind away from what matters. And if you allow the world to manage your attention, you will spend your life reacting instead of creating. You will respond to noise instead of building your future. Focus is the discipline of choosing what matters most and giving it your full, undivided effort. It means saying no to things that don't serve your growth. It means protecting your mind from anything that steals your energy, your clarity, or your momentum. When you focus, you multiply your progress. When you lose focus, you divide your potential. Think of focus like sunlight. When it's scattered, it warms. When it's concentrated, it burns through steel. That's the difference between average effort and focused effort. The person who lives with focus gains an edge. Progress becomes faster, decisions become clearer, and confidence grows because they're seeing real results. Your future self is not built in one dramatic moment. It's built through consistent focus repeated day after day. Every time you choose to concentrate on your goals rather than distraction, you are investing in a stronger, wiser, more capable version of yourself. And every small moment of focus compounds, just like interest in a bank account. Focus also creates direction. When you're clear on what you want, your mind begins to filter out anything that doesn't align with it. You start noticing opportunities that were always there but hidden behind noise. You begin moving with purpose instead of drifting without aim. The more you focus, the more your life begins to match your vision. Your ability to focus is one of the most valuable assets you have. Not your education, not your background, not your circumstances, your focus. Because focus is what transforms effort into achievement. It's the doorway to discipline, growth, and success. And the moment you decide to master it is the moment your future begins to change. Your life moves in the direction of your strongest attention. Guard it, strengthen it, honor it. Because the future you dream about is built on the focus you practice today. Distractions rarely announce themselves loudly. They arrive quietly, disguised as harmless moments, quick breaks, small choices that seem insignificant. They don't pull you off your path in one dramatic move. They gently guide you away from it one tiny step at a time. That's why they are so dangerous. They work slowly, silently, and consistently until one day you look around and realize you drifted far from the goals you once said were important. What people call losing motivation is often nothing more than the accumulated weight of small distractions. Stealing their direction, it begins with a single moment where you say, I'll start later. Later becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes someday. And someday quietly transforms into never without you realizing it. Distractions invite delay, and delay kills dreams more effectively than failure ever could. Failure teaches you something. Distraction teaches you nothing. It leaves you empty-handed and further behind. People often expect distractions to look like major temptations, but most of the time they look innocent. A few minutes scrolling, a little more time talking, one extra episode, a small detour from the plan. Each interruption seems harmless, but together they create a habit of postponing effort, of pausing progress, of letting go of what truly matters. Over time, you don't even notice how much these small moments cost you. They steal your energy, your time, your clarity. They pull your attention away from the person you're trying to become and place it on things that don't move your life forward. Dreams require focus, and focus requires intention. But the world is designed to take your attention without your permission. Notifications, noise, opinions, and entertainment are built to keep you distracted for as long as possible. Every distraction competes for your mind because your attention has value. And when you give it away easily, you weaken your ability to build anything meaningful. You cannot upgrade your life while giving your energy to things that downgrade. Your potential distractions also create a false sense of productivity. You stay busy, but not effective. You think you're moving, but you're only moving in circles. You think you're working hard, but your efforts are scattered. Real progress requires concentrated effort, uninterrupted time, deliberate action. But distractions slice your focus into pieces so small that none of them are strong enough to create results. What could be done in 1 hour takes 3. What should take a week takes months. Not because you're incapable, but because your attention is divided when distractions become a pattern. They shape your identity. You start believing you're inconsistent, unmotivated, or undisciplined, when in reality, you have simply allowed too many small interruptions to dictate your days. The good news is that the moment you recognize this pattern, you can take back control. You can reclaim your time by choosing what deserves your attention and what does not. You can protect your mind by removing the unnecessary noise that keeps you from giving your best. You can rebuild your habits by choosing presence over impulse and intention. Over interruption. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become, and building the version of yourself you admire begins with the daily choices most people overlook. It's not about dramatic changes or grand gestures. It's about the quiet decisions that shape your character when no one is watching. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you cast a vote for the stronger, more capable version of yourself. And with enough votes, that version becomes your reality. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build, one deliberate action at a time. There is a gap between your intentions and your outcomes, and discipline is what closes that gap. Wanting success, hoping for improvement, dreaming of a better life, none of those create results on their own. Results come from doing the work, even when you don't feel like it. From honoring your commitments when the excitement fades. From showing up on the days when your excuses sound convincing. The person you admire in your mind is built in these moments. They come to life through actions, not wishes. Drifting is effortless. Anyone can drift. It requires no planning, no strength, no discipline. Drift long enough, and you become a passenger in your own life, moving without direction, reacting instead of creating. But building is different. Building demands intention. It demands sacrifice. It demands the courage to choose long-term gain over short-term comfort. Building the best version of yourself means embracing the discomfort that most people avoid, because that discomfort is what sharpens your mind and strengthens your character. Discipline creates identity. Each time you follow through on your commitments, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on yourself. And nothing is more powerful than self-trust. When you trust yourself to act, your confidence grows, your goals feel achievable, your vision becomes clearer. But when you break promises to yourself, even in small ways, you weaken that trust. You begin to doubt your own ability to change. That's why discipline is not just about habits. It's about who you become as a result of those habits. The person you admire is not formed by occasional bursts of motivation. They are formed by consistent effort, by staying the course even when progress feels slow. Every disciplined choice builds momentum. Wake up early once and nothing changes. Wake up early for a month and you transform your mornings. Exercise once and you feel good for a moment. Exercise consistently and you transform your body and mind. Small decisions repeated with discipline reshape your entire life over time. There's a point when discipline becomes freedom. What once felt difficult becomes natural. Actions that required force become part of your identity. You no longer struggle to start because starting is who you are. You no longer debate with yourself because the decision has already been made. This is the reward discipline gives you. It frees you from the weight of hesitation, from the burden of indecision, from the cycle of starting and stopping. It turns effort into lifestyle and intention into reality. Every discipline moment strengthens the blueprint of the person you once promised yourself you'd be. And with each day you choose discipline, the blueprint becomes the structure you live in, shaping your actions, your future. The life you ultimately create. A promise made to yourself carries a different weight than any promise you make to the world. It's deeper, more personal, and rooted in the most honest part of you. The part that knows your potential, your goals, and your capabilities. When you set a goal, you're not just expressing a desire, you're signing a contract with your future self. You're saying, I will do what it takes to rise to this level. And Every day, you either honor that contract or quietly break it. Most people don't realize that the life they live today is the result of thousands of small agreements they made or failed to make with themselves. A contract is only meaningful if it is respected. When you show up for your goals, you reinforce the belief that your intentions matter. You prove to yourself that your word carries weight. But when you skip commitments, delay action, or let excuses take over, you teach your mind that your promises can be broken without consequence. Over time, this erodes self-confidence, not because you lack ability, but because you stop trusting yourself to follow through. And without self-trust, consistency becomes difficult, motivation becomes weak, and progress becomes slow. The contract you have with yourself is not written on paper. It is written in your daily actions. Every choice is a signature. Every effort is a confirmation. Every excuse is a cancellation. You may not realize it in the moment, but each day you are rewriting the terms of who you are becoming. If you keep breaking your own agreements, your mind begins to accept a lesser version of you as acceptable. Not because you want less, but because you've trained yourself to expect less effort from you. Own hands, the powerful thing about this contract is that you control every part of it. You decide the terms, you decide the pace, you decide the standards, you decide the level of effort. And because you decide everything, you also hold all responsibility. No one else can fulfill your promise for you. No one else can face your challenges, overcome your resistance, or push through your discomfort. A contract with yourself requires personal accountability, and accountability is the foundation of transformation. When you honor your commitments, something inside you begins to shift. You feel stronger, more grounded, more capable. Your confidence grows not from motivation, but from proof that you can do the things you once struggled to start. You begin to see yourself differently. You carry yourself with more certainty. You stop doubting your ability to change because you see yourself changing through direct action. This internal shift is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who only talk about them. The more you uphold the contract, the more your life begins to align with your intentions. Discipline becomes easier because it's rooted in identity, not effort. Focus becomes sharper because distractions lose their power. Progress becomes natural because consistency becomes normal. Your goals stop feeling distant because you're actively walking toward them in every choice. You make the contract with yourself is the most important commitment you will ever make. Honor it through action, protect it through discipline, and reinforce it through daily follow-through growth. Rarely announce itself with noise or dramatic milestones. It builds quietly through consistent effort that most people overlook. In a world obsessed with immediate results and instant gratification, the real transformation happens in moments that seem ordinary. The early mornings when you choose to start, the late nights when you refuse to quit, the quiet hour spent refining your craft, the repeated discipline that doesn't earn applause. These small, steady, consistent actions accumulate into something powerful. They create momentum that cannot be stopped, even when progress feels slow or invisible. The truth is, people fail not because they lack ambition, but because they underestimate the power of small daily steps. The person you want to become is not built through random bursts of motivation. Motivation may start the journey, but it is consistency that carries it forward. Anyone can feel inspired for a day. Anyone can commit for a week. But the ones who rise above are the ones who show up again and again, even when the enthusiasm fades. They understand that greatness is not found in a single decision, but in repeated decisions that compound over time. Just like tiny drops can fill an ocean, tiny disciplined actions can reshape your entire life if you give them enough time. The quiet work is often the most difficult because it doesn't provide immediate validation. You don't always see results. You don't always feel progress. Some days it feels like you're putting in effort without getting anything in return. But progress is not always loud. Most of the time it grows beneath the surface, strengthening your discipline, sharpening your focus, preparing you for breakthroughs that appear suddenly but are built slowly. Those so-called overnight successes are simply the visible moments of a long, hidden journey of consistent effort. Consistency also builds resilience. When you commit to small actions on a daily basis, you develop the ability to keep going even when circumstances aren't ideal. You learn to work through discomfort, setbacks, and doubt. You train your mind to stay steady when things get challenging. This resilience becomes a competitive advantage because most people quit the moment things get difficult. But the person who is trained through daily discipline has learned how to persist, how to adjust, and how to rise. Every small decision you make contributes to your identity. When you choose discipline over distraction, you strengthen the belief that you are someone who follows through. When you choose effort over excuses, you reinforce the idea that you can rely on yourself. These internal shifts matter far more than external results because identity always shapes behavior. When you begin to see yourself as someone who is consistent, someone who is dedicated, someone who honors their goals, your actions naturally follow that belief. The beauty of quiet, consistent work is that it compounds. Something that seems small today becomes significant over time. A few pages a day becomes a library of knowledge. A short workout each morning becomes a stronger body. A single new habit becomes a transformed lifestyle. These compounding effects are the real secret behind personal growth. Not sudden change, not dramatic breakthroughs, but steady, measurable, persistent effort that builds upon itself day after day. Locking in is more than a strategy. It is a declaration of self-respect. It is the moment you decide that your potential is worth protecting. Your goals are worth prioritizing. And your time is worth valuing. Most people drift through life reacting to whatever pulls at their attention. But locking in means you choose to live deliberately. You create a boundary around your focus, not because someone told you to, but because you finally understand that your future deserves seriousness. When you eliminate distractions and commit fully to your growth, you send yourself a powerful message. You are worthy of your own dedication. Respecting yourself means respecting your time, and locking in is one of the highest forms of that respect. Every time you choose focus over distraction, you reinforce the belief that your goals matter. This belief becomes the foundation for confidence and discipline. When you treat your goals casually, your mind begins to treat them as optional. But when you pursue them with intensity and consistency, your mind responds by elevating your standards. You begin to expect more from yourself because you prove through action that you are capable of more. Locking in upgrades not just your habits, but your identity. Choosing focus is never easy, especially in a world full of noise. There will always be something competing for your attention: notifications, conversations, entertainment, obligations. But locking in means making a conscious decision about where your energy goes. It means asking yourself whether each action brings you closer to or further from your goals. This level of awareness helps you remove what doesn't serve you and double down on what does. It sharpens your vision and reminds you that your future cannot be built on scattered efforts at its core. Locking in is an act of alignment. It aligns your actions with your intentions, your habits with your vision, your energy with your purpose. When you are locked in, your work becomes more meaningful, your progress becomes more visible, and your distractions lose their power. You begin to feel more in control because your decisions are intentional rather than impulsive. This sense of control strengthens your commitment and keeps you moving forward. Even when motivation fades, locking in also transforms your environment. You start choosing people, habits, and surroundings that support your growth. You stop tolerating negativity, laziness, and the energy that drains your ambition. You begin to build a life that encourages focus rather than destroys it. And as your environment evolves, so does your mindset. You start expecting more from yourself and less from luck. You stop waiting for opportunities and begin creating them through disciplined action and unwavering focus. The more you practice this mindset, the more natural it becomes. What once felt like sacrifice begins to feel like clarity. What once felt like restriction begins to feel like power. You no longer chase distractions because you see them for what they are: barriers between you and your potential. Locking in allows you to live with intention, effort, and purpose. It strengthens your self-worth because each focused action reaffirms that you believe in your own future.